Wonderful to see everyone. Welcome to our May EngRes The Gathering. If you are new here, here's our high-level agenda. We're going to do through a ton of different project updates, some spotlights on recent launches and updates, and then 2 deep dive demos, one on Storacha, how they're decentralizing hot storage, and the PL Dev Guild, which I'm sure many people here are going to be excited to learn more about. If you want to follow along, you can scan this QR code and you'll get to the slides, and you can leave comments in real time or look through what's happening. As a reminder, this is one of the wonderful working groups in the Protocol Labs network where we drive breakthroughs in computing to push humanity forward. This involves teams and many different companies all across the R&D pipeline who are pushing forward new basic research all the way through productionizing and into large-scale production deployments, and trying to help the whole decentralized web take shape and build out over time. We focus on kind of 3 main things: helping share the latest breakthroughs in protocol utility capabilities, people know what's happening, what's improving, support network native research and development, help people connect and build upon each other's ideas, and then grow open source projects, networks, and communities by forming new connections. Here are a couple of things that launched recently and are coming up soon. We'll get a wonderful dive today from Dan into the recent Textile Basin launch. Huge congrats to that team, building a new IPC Filecoin L2, which is super exciting. If you missed last week's Philo's Protocol Day, there's a great dive into various different data on-ramp designs with W3S, Lighthouse, a number of other groups. Go check out the recording that's linked there. We have a great update today on the Phil Retro PGF, which rewarded 99 different projects with 224,000 Phil, which is really amazing. A lot of teams to celebrate who all contribute to Filecoin public goods through that. Curio Storage also announced their general availability release of their high-performance Lotus Miner node. Go check that out if you're a storage provider. They're actively working with kind of the early first users to give them super great hand-holding to onboard onto Curio. And then a couple of exciting updates. IPFS in Space, a paper on the kind of architecture and design and how this is being used by Lockheed and other groups, has been accepted to AIAA, which is a aerospace conference that will be diving deeper on the use of decentralized tech in travel between different planets and exploring the universe. And there's also an Austin Filecoin Orbit meeting that's happening later today at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. local time in Austin, which is probably a couple of hours from now. Looking forward to things that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. Phil Swan Mainnet is launching in about 2 weeks, I believe. They offer compute resources to a whole ton of different Filecoin SPs doing the sealing process and proving process over their Filecoin storage. So check that out and get excited. There's also an active FIP discussion in the works for a new proof of data possession. This has been called by a couple of different names: proof of clear data, proof of cache data. But there's a current ongoing plan to start out with an FVM smart contract prototype, which aims to make this available even before the next mainnet upgrade so that we can start experimenting with how L2s and other groups can make use of this in Filecoin. PhilStore is working on a drag and drop GA of their kind of new upload interface, which is really targeted towards enterprises that want to get started with a little Stripe payment API that lets them very quickly fund a Phil wallet and get off to the races storing their data on Filecoin. So you can check out the beta already on PhilStore, and their GA is coming soon. There's a ton of work that's happening on fast finality in Filecoin land, which is on track, fingers crossed, for the NV23 upgrade for their soft launch on mainnet. There's also some really cool work being done around enabling cross-net bridging with this fast finality gadget so that you can bridge your Filecoin storage requests and proofs from other different networks using that. Last but not least, if you're going to be joining us for EthCC in July, please come to IPFS Camp and PhilDev Summit. Tickets are available. Calls for speakers are open. Track leads are actively designing and finalizing their track run of show as we speak. So make sure that you get your tickets now before they go to full price next month, and join us there. It's going to be a really great discussion time for all builders and engineers, researchers, community members in those areas. So please join. Speaking of events, a really awesome new event is kicking off next week, actually this coming weekend. Edge Esmeralda is a month-long pop-up city, which I actually have the agenda here. It will also be hosting the next lab week, the first field building lab week that's focused on new breakthrough tech like AI, BCI, whole brain emulation, neurotech, and many other exciting new fields that are pushing the boundaries of computing. So definitely check out Edge Esmeralda. If you're going to be there for the whole month, I will see you there. It'll be amazing. If you're going to just drop by for lab week or a weekend, you can see the whole agenda here on this QR code. Other events that are coming up, there's going to be a PL Founders Retreat just ahead of EthCC in somewhere in Europe. I think it's somewhere in Germany. And so that will be a great gathering if you are a builder or founder in the PL network. We'd love to gather together and share experiences, new work that we're doing, and just bond together as a community and network. There's also a ton of events, as we mentioned, that are happening around EthCC. So hopefully see you all there. All right, and with that, we're going to go into project updates from all of the different groups, starting with libp2p. Dave, I think you're first.
Hi, good morning. So yes, real quick update on libp2p. libp2p is a modular network stack designed to solve peer-to-peer networking in many different verticals and across many platforms. So this is turning into a newspaper. I'm going to just give you some of the highlights. As Molly had mentioned, we are going to have a libp2p day as part of the IPFS camp in Brussels. I've thrown up 2 QR codes here. The left one is where you can submit your talks, anything related to libp2p. The right one is where you can buy your tickets. In terms of metrics, looking at from the ecosystems dashboards numbers, we're seeing pretty steady, stable numbers. We are getting slight growth in new contributors, and everything seems to be hunky-dory, at least for now. I'd still like to see the growth be a little bit stronger, and we're going to try some new things here in the rest of the year to push that. I want to highlight that Python libp2p has successfully been revived from the ice box. It is now up to date, old dependencies refreshed, documents refreshed, it builds, it tests, all the things. And we're still looking for more contributors and more maintainers. As well with the Go libp2p and Swift libp2p projects, they could use a lot of help right now. So if you have a project that depends on Go libp2p, maybe try to carve out a little bit of time, show up to the meetings, and help us out. The other highlights, we have a new metrics platform coming that unifies all the data from across all of the libp2p metric sources. And the one thing I'm most excited about is the AI-driven sentiment analysis and event integration capabilities of this one. The most exciting thing is it can look at a bunch of events, like who's forking, who's asking questions, things like that. And it's a great lead generator for new developers, organizations, projects that are investigating adopting libp2p and identifying who we should reach out to close the deal, if you will, and get them to adopt libp2p. And then the last thing I want to talk about is our second specification meeting is coming up next week. We was fairly lightly attended last time, but it was the first one ever. I'm still trying to get as many people who care about the specification of libp2p into this meeting, because it is the primary driver of consensus around key specification issues. And I've put a few agenda items down there. So if you're interested in ambient peer discovery, Kademlia, or Gossip Sub, we'll be discussing those during that meeting. And these are just technical project updates. I'm not really going to go over a lot of it. The 2 highlights out of this is the random walk circuit relay server detection in JS libp2p is pretty freaking amazing, since you do need circuits or circuit relaying at this point to dial browser to browser. This is now allowing web applications using libp2p in the browser to actually automatically discover the relays that they would need to do the browser to browser dialing. It's quite a new, that's a new capability that's quite exciting, and it's going to unlock a whole host of web app capabilities. And then I mentioned PyLibp2p is up and kicking, and we're building new things with it. So thank you.
Woohoo, great updates. On to Basin. Dan, tell us what's new.
Yeah, so if you haven't kept up with like the whole IPC stack. Basin just launched like our initial MVP using the IPC architecture. So we're calling it sort of like the first data L2 based on top of Filecoin. So we launched was that this week or last week? We just launched though, so check it out, basin.textile.io, and it's fully usable. There's some like caveats. It's still like in this sort of testnet devnet phase, so things are getting reset. But basically, what it does is gives you object storage that is fast, it's scalable, it's using the subnet architecture. It's all secured by Filecoin, so it's this L2 based on top of a calibration net technically right now. Right now we have an SDK live, a CLI live that lets you interface with the network, and basically you have like these different actors that are on each of the subnets. Right now we just have like a single subnet that we're running, but in the future you can imagine like spawning up different subnets that are built on other different subnets. So like this hierarchical design that IPC enables. And our first like core piece of this is object storage. So just like a simple key value store. And as you push data, it gets, it goes through like all the networking, it goes to the mempool, it gets put on chain as a transaction, or there's like a concept of what we call detached payloads. So you can have like large files that are over a kilobyte. Anything a kilobyte or less is like fully on chain, but anything over that is basically pushed right out to IPFS. So you have like the actual data is available through transactions, and like that record is all on chain, but then the file and the storage itself is backed by IPLD/IPFS. And there's a lot of things that we'll have in the future there around like data availability and erasure encoding and proofs, etc. So if you go to the next slide, talk through some of those future state items. So yeah, just like to give you an idea of like that, maybe this is a little bit simplified version of that last slide, but you have like these interactions with Basin where you're pushing to, or you interacting with the smart contract, and each of these subnets like checkpoint state down to some root net. So that like, there's intricacies involved there with like, okay, how are these nodes interacting? What type of nodes do you have to run if you're on a parent or subnet or child subnet? But the TLDR is fully decentralized object storage. As I mentioned, Rust CLI, SDK, all out today. And in the future, there are some things that we'll be releasing like S3 API compatibility, just like to really make it easy to transition from more of a centralized solution, gas tanks, so you can have like fee delegation and pay for transactions on behalf of users. And then things like object TTLs, erasure encoding, proofs, full like Filecoin archiving. Those are more longer term, but things that are on the roadmap. And I think it should be like the gist of it. So yeah, if you're interested in like diving in, definitely reach out to us, and looking for design partners to really help us through some of these next phases.
Thanks so much, Dan. On to Space Meridian.
Yes, I think in the last update I gave, we might have just nucleated, or we might not have done, but to say so again, we're now Space Meridian. That's myself and the brilliant Julian Gruber and Miroslav Bartosz. And we're working with Lumen Design on a new brand, so just some placeholders for now. Space Meridian is building a couple of products, and the first one is Station. We're currently working on Station Desktop V2, and we got a sneak peek at some of the new pages on the left here. It's quite kind of rudimentary at the moment, so we want to just kind of raise the fidelity, just make it a little bit more professional and give people a bit more trust when they're in the app about what's going on, and just help explain what's happening and what's coming next. At the bottom, we can see the number of daily active station operators. And this is from the start of the year, so continuing to see a nice trend upwards. And so, yeah, we're really happy with that, continuing to keep people in the network. And we are currently distributing around 1,000 fill per month, looking top right, and that's through the Spark protocol, which I'll go into in the next slide. But yeah, just happy to keep people around. And obviously, the more people who join, the more we're distributing that fixed amount. So it is a bit of a balance, an equilibrium that's reached. So we need to find the more use cases that want to deploy to the station network, so we can increase the rewards and keep growing the network size. We were running a second module alongside Spark called Voyager, which was part of the Saturn project. It was sampling the Saturn network. But Saturn and W3S are kind of taking different directions. And so we're going to conclude this module, which is fine. We like the idea of modules which only run for a certain amount of time. I think that's a really nice concept. They don't all have to be running forever. And we're just about to finalize the Voyager payouts to all of the wonderful station operators who were doing jobs for the Voyager module. And then we're also exploring other modules similar to Spark, which do any sort of availability sampling, monitoring, testing, because we've built so much great code that can do this stuff, and it's just a case of repackaging it. So, Stephen, Alan, you'll be back. Yeah, hopefully we're going to collaborate in kind of Q3, Q4 on another module, which would be super cool. And so apart from W3S, if anyone else has monitoring use cases they want to discuss, please reach out. And that brings us to the Spark module. So we've been publishing these weekly infographics on X, on Twitter, which give an idea of just exactly what's going on with Spark. And we're just released 1,000 fill per month. You can see that in the top metrics. But we can also see here like the number of CIDs that we've been sampling from Fill Plus LDN deals, and then the amount of retrievals that Spark's actually making. And then we've been having this top 5 storage provider retrieval success rate board. And it's been really cool to see, because there are storage providers who are in the 90 percentile range of retrieval success rate. So that's obviously the top 5 we're showing in the infographic. If we go to the middle of the slide now, you can see a little bit more in depth about retrieval success rate. So the top histogram, you can see a very big spike at 0%. So there's just a lot of storage providers which are just not bothering to serve retrievals at all. But you can also see on that histogram a slight hint of some stuff going on between sort of 75 to 90. And that, if we break that out, in the bottom histogram, we've got rid of all of the storage providers that aren't serving retrievals. And you can see there's actually a really nice spike in the sort of 80 percentile range. And so we've now started working with storage providers to try and understand how we can improve that, how we can start to move that bottom histogram more towards the kind of 90 percentile range, and also reach out to storage providers that aren't serving retrievals at all and try and get them moving up this histogram. We're working with the wonderful Fiddle team, so Marta, Will, KZ, and others, to integrate the Spark retrieval success rate metrics and other metrics into the kind of allocator process. I know that this is a bit of there's some change here. Some storage providers are kind of wondering why this is getting integrated. There's concerns, but we're just trying to work with everyone to make this as smooth as possible, make sure that there's no hidden surprises, and make sure that everyone's aware of what's going on and how the protocol works, because retrieval is a big part of Fill Plus LDN, and we'd like to just get it integrated in and get these metrics working. And then Spark, there's more to come with Spark. It's not just this retrieval success rate, even though that's a top level metric, but we want to offer tools where storage providers can see how they can improve their retrieval success rates, so sort of tooling and debugging analysis, as well as understanding where the retrieval is failing, whether that's with IP&I or the advertisement step or elsewhere. And then just more visibility, more dashboards to help everyone understand exactly the status quo. And so my call out here is, if you're an SP that wants to talk about your Spark retrieval success rate, please reach out to me or the team, and we'll be in touch and would like to debug with you. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Patrick. Erick, tell us more about what's new with DRAND.
Thanks, Molly. So a little bit of an update on DRAND and the League of Entropy. For those of you that may be new to DRAND and the League of Entropy, DRAND is a public randomness solution, and the League is how we refer to our node operators. And so in the League, we've got a little over 20 members, and we just welcomed some new members, which we're super excited about, Arbitrand and Tingle Network. Arbitrand manufactures hardware-based randomness devices that they make available through third parties such as Amazon Web Services, for example. And so we look forward to using them as another source of randomness to create new seeds in the future. We also have Tingle Network, which is a brand new MPC network that was looking for a randomness solution. And so we're very excited to welcome them to the League. Even more exciting, we have our 5-year anniversary coming up next month. So for those of you that have been with DRAND in the League for many years, you may be surprised to know it's already been 5 years that we've been running this global DRAND network. So we're very excited about that. To help kick off our celebratory phase, we've opened up a new website at leagueofentropy.org. So I encourage everybody to check that out. Of particular interest, you may find interesting is the press room, where we've tried to collect pretty much every public relations, release or PR release that's been out since the inception of the network. And so there's a lot of good stuff in there for those that may be interested. We also have 3 additional mystery members joining testnet next ceremony, which you may be able to infer from visiting the website. So we're very excited about them, but I'm going to keep a lid on that for now because all 3 of them are very large players. And so we're very excited to have them sort of in the pipeline, as it were, to join the league. We're also pleased to publish our DRAN satisfaction survey results, which I'll get to in my next slide. The roadmap, we finally deployed version 2 to our testnet. For those of you that may be unaware, the main upgrade in version 2 is to enable asynchronous ceremonies. So every quarter we would have a ceremony, and it was global, and we had these poor guys in China that were up at like 11 p.m. and then we had some people in other parts of the world that were up at like 5 a.m. and it was just crazy. So we're very excited to be able to do asynchronous ceremonies now, which means we'll be able to kick off a ceremony, let people join the network over the next couple of days, and then wrap it up once everybody's done the key resharing and join the network. So I think that's going to be a tremendous convenience for our League of Entropy members. We also, as Molly mentioned earlier, DRAND was one of the many teams to receive Phil Retro PGF grant. So we're very excited about that. And we look forward to putting that to use to operating some more DRAND nodes. So we've got some plans in the works for that. And then also from a roadmap perspective, we have verification tooling and request-based randomness on deck. So verification meaning to verify the randomness, request-based meaning sort of a batch process. Rather than getting randomness every few seconds, you can actually sort of batch it and ask for a large number of random numbers in one chunk in one go. KPIs are still looking beautiful. I was hoping to launch a public Grafana dashboard during this meeting. We are so close, it is ridiculous, but we just have a few more bugs to work out. So we're going to launch those very shortly. We also are welcoming a new team member, Nimitari Ajienka. He starts in June. So I look forward to introducing him to everybody in our next meeting. We have monthly office hours the second Tuesday of every month. Please join us for that through Luma. And then we're also going to be having our next colo at ETHCC in Brussels. So we look forward to seeing many of you there. And we'll also have a League of Entropy Summit, which we're working on the agenda for now. So if anybody would like to present anything that has to do with League of Entropy or DRAND, please let me know. There's our contact info. And then, as you know, we have a little over 20 members of the League of Entropy. 3/4 of them responded and gave us some feedback. Here I've broken out some highlights and lowlights. The survey was much longer. Happy to go into more detail, but this was just what I was able to capture to kind of give you a flavor for what's going on. So the good news is everybody's very happy with the level of support they're getting from our team, and they like the GitHub repo and how that's working. So that's good. That means we're sort of meeting those basic needs. In terms of lowlights, we've got some room for improvement in documentation, which is one of the next things we plan to tackle. And then ceremony instructions. A lot of people were having trouble with the ceremonies, as I mentioned earlier. So we're very excited to launch version 2 so that we can sort of dispense with a lot of that difficulty so that folks won't be quite so stressed about the ceremonies in the future. And then just a couple of call outs. It was nice to see that people encountered support issues relatively infrequently, nobody on a daily or weekly basis. A couple people said they had some monthly issues crop up, and then you can see quarterly, most people biannually, which was pretty awesome. And we even had 13% of respondents said they never had a support issue. So that was pretty amazing. We also surveyed League of Entropy members and asked them to help us prioritize new features. What were the new features they were most interested in seeing in DRAND? And the top request was on-chain verification, followed by a tie with verification tooling and public dashboards. And so, as I mentioned earlier, we'll get that public dashboard out very shortly. And then the verification tooling is being spec'd as we speak. And then we also asked for more contributions. We basically said, hey, who's ready to step up and help out with, you just told me the documentation wasn't that great. So who's ready to help us make the documentation better? And fortunately, a lot of people raised their hands and says, yes, they'd be willing to help with key resharing, with documentation, with contributions to source code. So I'm literally following up with each of those individuals who raise their hand to say, what are you going to do to make DRAN better in this next quarter? And so we're looking forward to onboarding some more contributors. And with that, that should wrap up everything with DRAN and LOE. Thanks, Molly.
Over to Filecoin. Lauren, you want to kick us off?
With a near-term roadmap of some of the highlights going on in the ecosystem, a lot more than what are on these slides, but here are some highlights broken into a few themes. First theme being building deep in compute storage and AI networks on Filecoin as a platform for L2s. We already heard about the exciting Basin announcement being the first data layer L2 on Filecoin. Fluence also launched the first compute L2 on Filecoin this quarter. Next quarter, we expect Aave to enter as also an L2, and also W3S, which you'll be hearing more of later. Then making Filecoin the fundamental storage layer for Web3 with support for hot data and fast retrieval. You heard from Patrick about Spark retrieval checking and that we're seeing 90+ success rates for top SPs. There are now new Fill Plus allocator pathways and data cap allocations, which will also start getting tied in with Spark and retrieval checking in the future. We also launched direct data onboarding, which enables builders to create smart contracts to define the terms of storage deals. Before, they were very fixed into what the market actor prescribed, and now we've opened up a lot of innovation where people can define storage deals. Coming in Q3 is fast finality, which is a big unlock for Filecoin. We're also working on cross-chain payment smart contracts and a new proof type called proof of data possession. With respect to expanding the Filecoin economy and community, Curio launched as the next generation in storage provider software, lowering the barrier to entry. And Web3 Mine similarly is launching stealing as a service, which makes it also easier to become an SP and join the network. And you'll be hearing more about Phil Retro PGF, and that's a great new way to incentivize people who are in the network and start newer contributors to come on board. Next quarter is also Phil Dev Summit in Brussels for collaboration. And NI POREP is a technical implementation that will also help new entrants come in and make it easier to be a storage provider. We also plan to iterate and do more Phil Retro PGF rounds in the future. And wanted to flag that in Q1, we've launched more than 10 independent Filecoin public goods teams. This was a lot of work by a lot of people, especially the teams themselves, to spin up and without any hiccup in the network or innovation and keep the ball moving forward on those great things that we've heard on the roadmap. These are teams that are seasoned Filecoin engineers, operators. They're familiar with the protocol. They're sponsored by FF, PL, and other groups. And they're dedicated to the common good development and growth of Filecoin. The teams include Phil Oz, Curio, Phil Ponto, Elliptic, ANSA, Crypto Ecolab, NFT Storage, ChainSafe DevOps, Filecoin Incentive Design Labs, also known as Fiddle, and Starboard Networks. We also have a few more being launched shortly to join the party. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks. Huge thanks to all of these teams. Not to thank myself as one of them, but for all of the contributions to Filecoin public goods. Speaking of which, James, tell us what's up with Phil Oz.
A lot of updates, so I'll rattle through them as quickly as possible. First of all, Lotus updates. We've got the Lotus version 1.27.0 feature release, which has landed in the last couple of weeks. This includes a bunch of performance improvements and enhancements, specifically ETH log, correcting block gas limit in ETH and adjusting event index DB indexes to match query patterns, and many, many more. So please check out the link for the full release notes, and you can read up on it there. And we also have an update to the Lotus release process itself. It's going to be revised versioning, separate releases, and faster releases. There's a lot more info on that, so please click on that link and take a closer look. And it's been mentioned a few times already, but we're also really, really happy that fast finality, or F3 protocol, has been finalized, and we are looking at the alpha to be release targeted in June. That's a big deal, and we're certainly looking forward to that. And we've had a lot of FIPs and FIP discussions happening. First of all, we've had an accepted FIP 91, which adds support for Homestead in the EIP 155 Ethereum transactions. This is going to be really cool as it enables support for legacy contracts and wallet compatibility for EVM. Also accepted, it's FIP 90, a big one, non-interactive POREP. This is going to eliminate pre-commit sectors for CC, trustless sealing as a service, and simplifying storage onboarding and unlocking super seals' full potential. and a new discussion, which has already been mentioned, PDP, Proof of Data Possession. This is a new proof. I'll let you check out the details there. And finally, the introduction of Sealer ID, which will allow for trustless delegation of sealing and proving tasks to an external entity. We see a lot of opportunities arising and more coming every day. First of all, we're looking at simplifying the storage and onboarding pipeline and lowering the onboarding costs. We want to make it easier for people to onboard and contribute to Lotus. And with fast finality, easier to rewrite to Filecoin storage and state, and doing cross-chain payments via bridges. Other highlights, we've had Philos Protocol Day, which was focused on data and on-ramp. It featured a lot of projects, including Philos, Basin, and Lighthouse. Key discussions centered mainly on data on-ramps using technologies like FVM smart contracts, these are on-chain on-ramps, celebrating Filecoin public goods. This has been mentioned a few times as well, and Philos is really proud to be part of the incredible teams dedicated to decentralizing and preserving public goods. We were honored to be in one of the 10 teams that were highlighted in the Filecoin blog post, which is linked there. And we were also very, very grateful recipients of various awards from Actual PGF that fell under the Philos header. We'd like to say thank you to the round funders and badge holders who voted for all of our public goods work. We've included a couple of links there to Lotus practical per-rep improvements and verifiable data aggregation, which we're all supported. We're very grateful. Thank you. And the gyrating bottom right-hand corner shows all of the places where you can get in touch with us. There's a lot of links on here, so I put it all into a link tree. Scan the QR code at the top to make it easier. That's it for me. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, James. Lots of exciting things. Jennifer, tell us more about what's coming soon in Filecoin land.
100%. We are here to share with you another upgrade that's coming in the summer, just like the watermelon target. But we're going to be finalizing 5 fifths in this upgrade. You can read all the details over there. One quick shout out is to Web3 Mind team, who is actually contributing to implementing the NetPora protocol along with like FIOS, which is we have more network teams joining the protocol development effort, which is very exciting. Other than the fifths that everyone has already know, we are also shipping fast finality alpha release, which we are calling a soft launch. So basically, we are going to have node implementations running F3 protocol. However, does it actually participate in the consensus, just so that the implementation team can collect more data to verify the protocol and implementation correctness, so that we're fully ready to be fully launched fast finality of Filecoin in ME24, hopefully in Q3, Q4, sometime around that. We may be fixing a security bug, which is by introducing a lower bound for the Filecoin initial pledge. We are still doing some more protocol specification work right now, and we still have to go through the governance process. So we're going to see how that goes. We are doing the upgrade in the summer, as I mentioned. The calibration testnet upgrade is targeted at July the 11th, which will be in person at FDS, hopefully in Brussels. If you are in Brussels and you are one of the network teams or just community member joining the testnet, welcome to the Filecoin Dev Summit. We're hoping to have a hack room where we can observe and monitoring the network happens in real life. And we're targeting August the 6th for the mainnet upgrade. Normally, I have a very cute emoji to go with the network upgrade name, but I don't have one right now because I don't know the code name. We actually have a very fancy voting tool from the governance team to get community sentiment, and there's actually a poll getting posted here for you to vote for the upgrade name you like, and also propose ideas. I personally voted for Waffle, just so that I can have an excuse to have waffles in person in Brussels while the upgrade happens. But you can make your choice as well. I have linked a couple of resources for you, so you can track our implementation status and keep updated with the latest progress. And also, Filecoin upgrade coordinators also received some retro PGF funding. I thought that was really cool. We're going to be using these fundings to invest in more like potential toolings or resources to coordinate network upgrades across different network teams and ecosystems. And a huge shout out to Meridian, lucky to join the effort in the past like 3 to 4 network upgrade. And if you want to join us and be the cat herder of Filecoin, ping me on Slack. I'm happy to have a chat with you.
Mosh, tell us more about what's new and happening with IPFS land.
Hi, everyone. So IPFS is a system for organizing and sharing data across decentralized networks based around CIDs and content addresses, which are unique fingerprints for your data. So I think most of the folks in this room know that, but it remains true and it remains a substrate of everything across Web3. We wanted to share both a peek at what's launched in the past couple of weeks, as well as what's coming through the rest of the year. There's a lot of features on this list. Overall, I think the big themes are increasing support and compatibility for different kinds of protocols and languages and compilers, from WASM to HTTP to TypeScript and JavaScript. A big theme across the Boxo, Kubo, Rainbow family of projects is going trustless. So shifting verification to the browser, allowing more work to happen in the browser. And this is part of this long-term migration of the web from server-based, HTTP-based, to IPFS or decentralized protocol-based. Today, gateways do a lot of work for the IPFS project and IPFS users. And by increasing support and in-browser verification and other features locally, that's going to be able to take pressure off the gateways and do more actual peer-to-peer networking. So all really great stuff. There's also reliability improvements, API improvements, IPFS add, which is probably the IPFS command that most people use the most often if you're a developer building systems with it, is getting some customization capabilities. So that's pretty awesome. Across the project, we're starting an IPFS listening tour to speak to 100 IPFS users, across the ages, across domains. We'll put a shout out for that soon, and would love any intros or referrals to people who maybe aren't already as plugged into the community or maintainers as some of you all are. IPFS Camp is coming in July, and we're continuing project independence with IP transfer, formalizing a lot of the stuff that had been incubated inside Protocol Labs, with the aim to get the foundation fully operational, all the documentation and systems up and running by the end of December. And on the protocols and standards front, so this is not just software that we build, but also specifications and acceptance across web-wide bodies. You can read today a spec for universal lightweight CIDs. It's called Lucid. There's also going to be work throughout the year towards multi-format CID and IPLD acceptance in the IETF. And we're targeting by the end of the year Chromium support for IPFS protocol. Little Bear Labs is driving that work. So we're targeting that Chromium and Electron both know what to do when you give them an IPFS handler. And that is a high-level IPFS roadmap.
That's some exciting stuff. Cameron, tell us what's new with IP Shipyard.
Thanks, Molly, and thanks, Mosh. It's been a minute, so it's good to see everyone again. We've been busy since nucleating in the Interplanetary Shipyard, or IP Shipyard, and wanted to tell you about a few of the things we've been working on since last time. So one of the big areas that we've bet on that kind of fits in with some of the topics that Mosh was just discussing before, before we have those native retrievals in browsers, we want to work out, but we wanted to try and move the story forward and be able to offer alternatives to relying on the centralized IPFS IM gateways for retrievals. And so one of the bets that we've done there is putting a lot of work into the Helia JavaScript implementation, and also this new project, the Service Worker Gateway. And so for anyone not familiar with it, the Service Worker Gateway leverages Helia and the verified fetch library, and basically lets you load up a lightweight JavaScript IPFS node in a service worker gateway on your local browser. And then just intercepts the requests, and you can do native retrievals. So that's pretty cool. It's bear in mind, it's a beta, work in progress, but you go to inbrowser.link and give it a try. You can load decent portions of Wikipedia pages and things like that and have fun with it. And yeah, give it a try, please. We've shipped on the Go side a few releases of Kubo since we last talked. And the next one is like hot on the trail. So you can see we've got the 0.29 RC1 out, and hopefully we'll be able to cut a final release for that soon. One of the notable things in there is it leverages the latest GoLibP2P release there that's got the IP-aware resource manager improvements there. That's nice for keeping things a bit leaner. We've also shipped not one, but 3 stable releases of Rainbow, which is our opinionated, purpose-built, gateway-specific IPFS client, server, I should say. And also, we've cut a few releases of some guy, which is our delegated routing client server implementation, which is another bet that we've been moving forward. And that's to enable lightweight, different sorts of clients where you don't have to participate in the DHT and have all that heavy lifting required to have all that working. You can talk to a delegated routing endpoint, ask it for peers that you can retrieve the content you're after from, and it will send you back some peers that you can then go talk to directly. We're also the same folks you might remember that are helping to run the IPFS IO gateways and dweb.link gateways on behalf of the IPFS Foundation. So just a few updates about what to be doing in the meantime. So the team has gone through quite a bit of some changes. We've changed in size from 4 people down to just 1.5 now. Infrastructure-wise, we've changed out the implementation that backs the gateways. So we've migrated from leveraging Kubo to using Rainbow, which was being quite a productive change. So this was circa 40-ish, 50% reduction in like infrastructure overheads to start with. And then that enabled us to then right-size the infrastructure. So to give some indications, we've gone from in the order of 150 nodes serving the gateways down to something less than 30 now. So it's quite a dramatic change. And also, as some of you are probably already aware, you might have seen the blog post announcement about it. Cloudflare unfortunately decided to stop offering their IPFS gateways. And they approached us and asked us if we would be willing to take over their traffic for them. And since we couldn't talk them out of deciding not to offer their gateways anymore, we decided to take the traffic from them and use that to get them to offer us a very competitive, very attractive deal to offer the load balancing and TLS termination for providing IPFS IO. So if you look on the bottom right-hand corner there on the 2 graphs we've got there, these are some 7-day statistics for IPFS IO and dweb.link. And you can see there's like very nice metric there about the percentage cached. So for comparison, a nice cache amount used to be maybe like 60, 70 percentile that we used to get with like 150-ish nodes, really big instances, running self-hosting the gateways. And now we're getting, in the 90th percentiles, which for anyone who didn't connect the dots, that means that we're only having to have less than 10% of the requests ever come through to Rainbow to get served. And then after they get served that one time, they're usually indefinitely cached, which is pretty awesome. That helps us to continue offering that service a bit more sustainably for now. And so, yeah.
Thank you so much. Mosh, do you want to give us a quick update on IPFS Camp?
Yes, IPFS Camp, which many of you all know and love, is a 3-day summit. This year it's going to be in Brussels, right as part of HCC. And it is a flurry of workshops, talks, conversations, hallway tracks, hacking sessions, all focused around making the internet work better for everyone. So we have submissions are getting finalized, talks and schedules are being finalized, but there's still some open slots for speakers and workshops. And I know many of you have some awesome stuff to share with the community. So please click the link right here. I'll pop it in the chat in a minute, and submit your session. The tracks include decentralized apps and publishing, public records and human rights, chaired by Lindsay, design and UX in Web3, long overdue, chaired by Ira, a gaming track focused on gaming and IPFS performance, actually, chaired by Brendan and Adam, climate resilience and IPFS, Caitlin, LibP2P Day with Dave, IPLD databases and the people who love them, chaired by Robin, and then quite a few more. So if you not sure what your subject is going to be, or you want some help talking through your workshop or session idea, please reach out. We want to work with you to build a really great experience, and help you share your learnings or your message or your shills with the community. Thanks.
Woohoo. Awesome. On to our spotlights, and please keep it brief so we can get to our deep dives too. Tom, tell us about RetroPGF.
So Phil RetroPGF is closing out our first round. We had 106 applications from public goods projects across the network. 25 badge holders wisely and judiciously voted on these applications. And as a result, 99 projects have been voted for and met quorum of 1 funds and will get part of 200K Phil. So right now we're in the final stage of doing checks on wallet addresses, and we expect the grants to be distributed very soon. Congrats to all recipients. It's really exciting to see the funds actually going out now. And I'll just make a special shout out to the top scoring projects. We have Glyph Nodes, Lotus Dependencies, DRAND, Lighthouse Storage, and Filecoin Orbit Ambassadors. These are 5 awesome and high impact projects. I think everybody here knows well, and that's just it's a really good signal for these projects going forward. It's really cool to see. Also, special shout out, thank you to the round's funders, Protocol Labs, Filecoin Foundation, Web3 Mine, and the Titan Network, and also to the operational contributors, Gitcoin, Hypercerts, Drips, and Open Impact Foundation. Next steps after distribution, we'll have a quick retro, try to improve the round's design and start planning on round 2. Excited to make it bigger and better.
Woohoo. Thank you so much. Magic, tell us about Curios GA.
Yeah, we've been really hard at work for the past more than half a year, depleted 3-ish months ago. And yeah, we've now reached GA. And we're basically at this stage where we are testing with multiple SPs. MinerX program has been revived and it's pretty active. And then, yeah, we're basically looking for SPs to start working with and getting into real mainnet production. And yeah, Curio is going to be just a massive improvement over Lotus Miner and almost every imaginable respect, any issues that existed in Lotus Miner around being hard to maintain, hard to run, requiring downtime, and like it having limited scale. It should be all gone with Curio. That is the main idea. And yeah, I'm really excited to see it getting adoption.
All right, all storage providers, you heard Magic. Go try it out and talk to him about it. Luke and Lucas, tell us about Ramo.
Hey, so Ramo is the network that Web3 Mine team is launching. Ramo is basically a compute and storage network. When we decouple compute and storage, we are able to do like magical things, like allow people to do Filecoin storage providers without having to have any compute, meaning that providers could run theoretically storage on their Macs. And I'm gonna demo that. So what they have here, it's a super small storage provider on a 4K network, because of course, like I want to do the sealing and everything on one machine. So like 4K helps. Actually, 2K network helps on that. You can see that I have allocated already 226 skips of storage, and that right now, like it's all utilized. So what I want to do is I want to commit more storage. So I'll go ahead and commit another maybe 8 kilobytes, which should be 4 sectors. Now we should see that 96% is how much it's actually utilized. And you'll see that like some sectors are going to appear here and they're going to be in the sealing process. The sealing process is going to be done remotely by a compute provider. So like all the stuff like PC1, PC2, C1, and C2 are remotely going to happen. And what happens is that when those jobs are done, they get transferred, the results get transferred to the storage provider. So if I go here, yeah, we just need to wait for a sec. Yeah, so you can see already some sectors popping up here. So you can see 2 sectors are being sealed, and you can see 4 sectors now. When it's done, you'll see that basically like I have utilized all the sectors. My GPU is going to go crazy now because I have C2 also running locally, but I'll do like 1,000 sectors now, just for the fun of it. And I hope that nothing is going to break. So we have now 600 sectors that are basically going in the sealing process, and they will be shown here. But ultimately what this means is that you can basically use any machine that does not have a GPU, and you can allocate storage to the compute network. We are currently onboarding 10 providers that have like 100 terabytes each, and this is going to be our first like testnet. So Lucas will just drop details on how to join, and yeah, happy to have you there. No GPU, just storage. Yeah, ultimately we want to make Filecoin as simple as basically just running a NAS. So you can see the sectors here, and I'm done with my demo. Thanks.
This is awesome. Thank you so much for demoing. Coolest here. Now we can finally make the vision of like true Airbnb, where we all rent out our extra space on our laptop available on Rambo. It's super cool. All right. Continuing on. Irene, tell us about PDP.
Yes, I'll do. So at Filecoin, we are working on introducing a new proof system for Filecoin that guarantees that storage providers has access to the data in the clear, meaning data as they have been received from the clients without, going through the sealing process. Why we think this is important? First of all, can be a first proxy for fast retrieval. The fact that the data are there unsealed means are fast to retrieve. Second, in general, these enhance the offers of Filecoins. So now storage providers have a new storage pipeline, and hopefully in the future, if the test goes well, mining opportunity in Filecoin. So you need to think about this as POREP is there for block reward and to prove persistent storage. Now we are going to allow you the opportunity of the storage provider to prove hot storage, okay? And this, of course, means different resources needed, different hardware, and different features. How we want to ship this? First of all, we want to test this idea with an FVM contract that will implement the basic functionality of adding the new kind of deals, these PDP deals, and submitting the proof. And we will iterate with the community feedback and hopefully add the incentive later on. This is unfortunately all I can say in 1 minute, but you can know more about this if you scan the QR code that is in the slide. We'll bring you to the project page where we are collecting all the info. And please, if you have feedback, and especially if you want to hack on this with us, we have an ad hoc Slack channel on Filecoin Slack, Feel PDP. Ping us there. We will super happy to join forces. Thank you.
Woohoo. Last but not least, James, give us a spotlight on PhilDev Summit speakers.
Thank you, Molly. James again from Philos. As Molly said, we have PhilDev Summit number 4 coming up at ECC in Brussels, and we are looking for speakers. We have an amazing collection of tracks coming up. Many of these topics have been really hot topics in the community over the last few months. We have Filecoin 101, Welcome to Filecoin, which will be hosted by the Curio team. We have Compute Storage and AI, which will be hosted by Stefan. We have the Future of Filecoin Protocol Evolution, which will be hosted by Orion. Empowering Developers, Filecoin Innovation by Sarah. Filecoin incentive structures, growing utility and participation by Tom, Kieran, the CEO team, and security and compliance and decentralized systems with Ken Toler from the Filecoin Foundation. We are looking for speakers. As I said, there's a big QR code on there on the right, which will take you straight to the talk submission form. And also just to mention that the final wave of early bird tickets are now live, and they're not going to last long. They expire. That offer expires on the 12th of June 2024, but you don't want to wait till the 12th because spaces are limited. So please get that ticket now. You won't regret it. It's going to be an awesome 3 days. And also remember to secure your hotel room block at the Radisson Grand Place, as the rooms will only be available to book until the 10th of June. So the message is get on it now, get those tickets and get that hotel room reserved. And finally, our scholar applications are open. So if you know of any really deserving folks who qualify for a scholar as a scholar, then please also check out the link there. You can hit up anybody who's in the tracks. I've included all the links there, and also reach out to me on Slack. Happy to help in any way I can. Thanks.
Woohoo! Thank you so much. On to our 2 demos and deep dives, starting with Alan, right to anywhere hot sauce storage. Tell us more.
Woo! Here we are. So Storacha is the new name for W3S. If you didn't know already, W3S was a temporary name we used for the Web3 storage and Saturn smoosh them up. So we merged the 2 teams together, and that's what we came up with. And so our focus right now is pulling ourselves out of the centralized storage game and getting into the decentralized hot storage. And part of that is being able to write to anywhere and also read from anywhere as well. So let me take you through what we have already. So this is kind of the status quo. We already did the work to kind of add UCANs to Web3 storage, and that's kind of, you can think of that as like decentralized auth, but it gives us all of these kind of signed requests and responses, which are super useful in a decentralized setting. But this is the sort of API as it exists at the moment, where a client basically says, "I'd like to store this GAR file, please," service. And if you can't see this, it's because it's a very tiny little SID of a car. If you put that into the SID inspector, you can see it is a SID of a car. The one thing about Web3 storage is that we store and serve from cars that are sent to us, and they are stored at rest as cars. And that's the main thing. So when you ask to store something with Web3 storage, you ask to store something by the hash of the car file in its entirety, not the hash of the root of the data that you want to store. So bear that in mind. You ask to store a car with a car SID, and the service will say something like, "You could put it here to this URL," and then the client will just put that car to the bucket. And then what's very convenient is that centralized services give you like bucket events, which allow us to then index the car and create an internal index of all of the blocks where they are in that car, and offsets and links for use by the gateway. There's a couple of problems with this. This URL is always the same currently, and everything just goes into one big bucket. And then when it comes to reading things, we get a browser that comes along and asks for a SID, and the gateway will consult its internal index and read directly from the car files, read bytes, because the index tells it which bytes are which blocks, but it gets to read them and send them back to the browser, and that works really well, but it's not decentralized. So we're working towards this potential future where we have a decentralized, incentivized storage and retrieval network. And I've put a little Filecoin logo here because eventually the idea is that we might be able to use the proof of data possession or a storage node in the Storacha network can also act as a hot retrieval node that is proving the fact that it's got data that's ready to be served. So that's the idea here. So in this future, which we're kind of trying to deploy as I speak, is not in its entirety, as we're going to try out with two nodes that are our own nodes, and we'll open it up as we get everything completed. But the difference here is that when we store a car, we get back there's some coordination that needs to happen because we need to know exactly which node we're going to put it to. We get a URL that says put it on hot storage node 1 at storacha.net. So that's a receipt, a signed receipt from the service to say to do that in response to the signed request to store a car. And then the client does some cool things. I've simplified it here a little bit. It will create indexes over the data that's about to put. It will actually do multiple puts, but the idea is here, so instead of putting it to our centralized service, it puts to a decentralized node on the Storacha network. And whilst it's doing that, it will also do things such as publish what we're calling content claims, which you can sort of think of as provider records ++. And claims might be like a location claim to say this is available at this URL, this block is available at this URL, and it's these byte ranges that you need to be able to pick out the block with, and that enables just HTTP requests with range requests from storage providers. Claims might also include the fact that I've indexed this data and you can find the index here, and the index contains all the blocks and their offsets in the data. So you don't need to have a claim for every single block. You can just read the index and then sort of know where to go. So once it's put the data to a storage node, then it will tell Web3 Storage that it did it, or tell the service at least that it did it. And this is actually a signed receipt from the client. And the cool thing is, in UCAN world and UCAN invocations, this is a receipt from the Storacha invocation, which says you can put it here. But actually, this is a task. Receipts can also contain tasks, which are invocations for the client to do. And the client was asked to put their data to a storage node. And once the client has done that, it will send a signed receipt back to the service to say it's done. Service can then go and verify it, and we sort of call it like proof of delivery altogether. And then that's kind of it. The reading side of things looks something like this, where similarly in a browser you ask for a SID, and the gateway, instead of consulting its internal index, its centralized bucket can then go and ask for the claims for that particular block. From content claims, it will get back a bunch of information, and then it can use HTTP GET requests to particular storage nodes to get bytes and serve them directly back to browsers, for instance. And so this is kind of the bit that I'm just going to very quickly demo today. We're going to use the image. The SID of the image is this. And if I just grab my terminal, hang on. There we go. Make it bigger. I can ask for claims. There's a CLI tool that you can use to read claims. Make it verbose, and I actually don't want them output, so I'm just going to put that in dev now. But you can see that there's a bunch of claims here that come back. So we've got one. There's a bunch of them that come back. I'm going to look at this last one here. It's in the location. It's a location claim. It says that this is the location where you can find this block. It's in this car. It's at this URL. It's at this offset and at this length. It has this length, and then you can just do a curl with a range request from 289 to whatever. Okay, just bear with me because my maths is not great. Plus 289. How to copy that? I want these bytes, and it's going to come from here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pipe that into IPFS add to prove that the data that we get is the data that we asked for with SID version 1. And then with any luck, this will come back, and this will be the same SID as the SID of the image, which is that one, and 52, yes, it's that one, it's the same one. Cool. And so that is basically what's happening in the gateway, is it's going to content claims, figuring out where it needs to find it, then going to the decentralized network to pick out blocks from whoever's storing them and serve them back to users. And that's kind of what we're deploying right now, the big change that we're making.
That is so freaking cool, Alan. Thank you for the phenomenal demo. This was awesome and really exciting to see the reality coming to life of decentralized storage actually happening.
It's gonna happen.
All right, I will jump back into sharing for our final deep dive, PL Dev Guild. Katie, are you giving us the lowdown?
I am.
So I am here to talk about the PL Dev Guild, which is a very exciting new initiative that will have its first inaugural cohort this July. For those of you who don't know, the PL Dev Guild's goal is to grow the impact of open source contributors to Protocol Lab and really connect them with Protocol Labs and other Web3 public goods projects. Our first initiative is going to be a 6-week part-time cohort-based program where our goal is to really engage open source contributors and have them work on real issues that our technology partners would like solved while they're building their skills. We are going to do this in a couple of different ways. Our goal is to first empower and educate folks through our technology partners for this cohort will be IPFS, Filecoin, libp2p, and DRAND. So thank you so much for the folks who have signed on to this. We're also offering mentorship and growth with guidance and resources from a lot of you here who are amazing open source experts, either as mentors or advisors to the program. And we really want to bring in the next wave of open source maintainers. And the last thing we're hopefully doing is creating pathways to have real impact, not just learning, but both in the fact that we want folks to work on problems that you all face that are plaguing these open source projects, and also in the fact that we are doing retro PGF funding based off of impact, which is really amazing. All right, so the way that we're going to do this is we're going to have global virtual cohorts. They are going to be in IST and EST. So we are both trying to get folks that on both sides of the world, which is really great. Folks who join will be able to earn rewards up to 128 to 2,000 around 2,000 per month. It's distributed in FIL. This is in USD based on impact. So that's something that we're going to be working really closely with. We're going to be working with folks on solving key issues selected by partners. We'll have resources for folks who are in the program and endless possibilities. Our goal here is to also create a clear pathway for folks who maybe want to be more engaged on these projects, not just part-time, not just as an open source maintainer part-time, but coming onto these projects full-time, which I know a lot of you here originally started off as open source maintainers who were doing this in your spare time, and then you ended up coming onto your project full-time. And our program is designed to really just give contributors and developers the tools that they need to continue to be strong open source stewards. All right, so our inaugural cohort, it is coming up and getting closer every day. It is starting July 1st. Our goal is to have 10 to 15 contributors for our V0 cohort. We already have a bunch of really great applications, and we have a lot of really great folks who have actually already worked on a lot of open source projects, which is great, from various communities. We've got folks who have done a lot of work in the Filecoin community. We've also got a lot of folks that have done a lot of open source work in Ethereum, which is awesome. So we want to really bring them in. We'll have 8+ mentors and advisors for the cohort, and also look out for information for our fall cohort that will probably launch. That information will launch this summer. If you know anyone who might be interested in this, if you know a really great part-time dev who's just looking for something between just casually fixing issues and joining a program full-time, definitely have them apply. That link right there. Applications are going to be open until June 16th. And what happens once folks are in the program? They will be working with our key project partners for our V0 cohort. It will be IPFS, Filecoin, libp2p, and DRAND. And so hopefully we'll be creating some really great impact for these amazing technology partners. If you are an open source project and you would like folks working on your project, definitely reach out to us for participating in the fall cohort, and we can talk to you about that. FYI, to become a technology partner, it's free. It's free, so feel free to reach out to me or anyone on our team. So jumping back, I want to talk a little bit more about what this means for participants. So they're contributing to these open source projects. And the other thing that they're getting out of this is being able to really showcase their GitHub, build on that,
potentially get hired by a project to become a full-time maintainer, and really dive into the protocol labs network and the 500 plus organizations. Truly the possibilities are endless here. So the eligibility and who we're looking for strong technical contributors who are passionate about open source work. We are looking for folks that have previously worked on open source projects. Maybe they have previously been involved in an open source project as a maintainer. We want them to have strong technical knowledge. We are pretty language agnostic, but our Rust, Go, those are always great to have. But also we'll take folks that have strong front-end experience or documentation engineers. We want folks who are really passionate about open source, and the time commitment is 6 to 12 weeks. It's part-time. This would be a great program for someone who's maybe in a PhD program, like a CS PhD program, where maybe they're working kind of around some of the problems, and they're kind of looking to build their skill set a little bit more. And the availability, we will have CET and EST time zones to be part of this global movement. The nitty-gritty details here, application deadline is June 9th. The notifications of acceptance are June 16th. So June 9th is the last day to apply. June 16th is when we will let everyone know if they have been accepted or not. The cohort start date is July 1st. Again, it's 10 to 15 hours per week with 10 to 15 contributors. And for this cohort, it will be a 6-week program, and then there will be a 4-week optional add-on program for folks to do. All right. If this is something that really interests you, or you know someone who's interested, go ahead, click on that application form. Feel free just to save it and share it around. You never know who might be interested. And if you would like more info on the group, definitely check out our Telegram group for the PL Dev Guild. And that's all we got for you.
Woohoo! Thank you all. And thank you all for attending EngRes The Gathering. We'll share out our recording hopefully next week. And thank you all for participating. Excited to keep building and working together on making the future bright. Thank you all, and have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Bye, friends.